Hello everybody. Today I am going to start my Suikoden 4 speedrunning tutorial guide. This is going to be split up into multiple parts. Uh, Today we're going to be talking about the tutorial. I'm just mainly going to focus on the tutorial, and I'm going to teach some of the basic game mechanics. So regularly in JRPGs, usually you want your character's text name to be very short because of the way the game works. As the text appears on the screen, it'll go one at a time, right? That's called the scrolling text. But the way Suikoden 4 works is that it has the opportunity, or the option, the setting, to show all the letters at once. So we can name the character whatever we want, as big as we want and as short as we want. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna name him based off the way that the way he was supposed to be named. So his name is supposed to be Laszlo, and that's just what we're gonna name him for the sake of this tutorial. So here are the basic settings. You have your display messages where you got scroll and show all. So when characters talk, it'll show essentially, if the text is going to go one letter at a time, or it's going to show everything at once. We're going to do show all because it's faster. You're going to set this one is a preference, is camera fixed or free. I prefer free because there are some times, very rarely, where we actually want to go into first person mode. And by being in first person mode, on fixed, your character can't move. But if we have it on free, we're still able to roam. And then this last one is another setting that is personal preference. I personally hate vibration on my controllers, so I'm just going to turn that off. These settings are other settings you can play with, adjust the screen size. I'm not going to adjust it. The sound, you play on mono, you're kind of a freak. Not actually though. Background music, special effects, voice, none of this has any impact on the game whatsoever. You can also turn voices off, or you can leave it on. Your character has two different voices. Again, none of that really matters. So yeah, we're just gonna start in a new game, and let's go. So I'm obviously not gonna have a timer here because there's no point. This is just teaching. The thing about new game is that this game has cutscenes, just like any JRPG does. But in new game, you can't skip cutscenes. So there's that. In Suikoden, in the new game plus route of this game, so there's also another category for this game. It's called New Game Plus, and in that you can skip cutscenes. I'm actually just gonna speed up the cutscenes because it really doesn't matter that much. Well, watching cutscenes doesn't matter.
Are you ready? Don't worry, it'll be all right. You'll see. I'm gonna take
I am playing this on an emulator. I would recommend an emulator for practice, simply because you can make save states. So if you want to test things out, you make a save state and then you test it out. Maybe it doesn't work the way you want it, or you want to try something different. You load it back to where you were, and you just try your second idea. But again, about the New Game Plus route, when you beat this game, any items that you had in your inventory get carried over to your next playthrough. They cannot be equipped items, they just have to be sitting in your inventory dormant. So, in New Game Plus, we abuse that fact, and it lets us skip cutscenes. But this is just beating the game. You start the game up, fresh, beat it. Alright, so in Suikoden games, they have three different types of battles. They have regular fights, war fights, and duels. Right here, we're going to see our very first war battle. In this game, it is very similar to other tactical RPGs, where it's a tile-based system, and you maneuver around your opponents and attack them. So when we start the game, we're going to ignore all the text. In this game, it has an auto turbo function for the text. If you hold R1 in triangle, it'll skip all the text, just like you saw. So here we could listen to the tutorial, but we're not going to. Instead, we're just going to go straight to, I'll do it on my own. And then in war battles, you have 4 options: ship setup, victory conditions, look at map, and commence the battle. For this battle, I'm just simply going to talk to you guys about how the battles work. So we're going to go to ship setup. You have a captain that has a special stats or passives that just give the ship some, like, they just upgrade the ship. Then you have rune cannons. Each character has an element, and each element is so each character has an element, and that element is what your attack will be. As you can see in the bottom there, you'll see the 5 elements: fire, wind, earth, lightning, water, and again fire. The way war battles work is that there falls under a rock paper scissors type game, where fire will beat wind, wind will beat earth, earth will beat lightning, lightning will beat water, and water will beat fire. And we're gonna abuse that because a lot of ships will always have one element and then the weakness to that element. So we're gonna abuse that. And then you have the fighters. These are units that aren't necessarily on the rune cannons, so you don't shoot or attack with them, but when you board an enemy ship, and you can fight the enemies that are upon the ship. So here we have our characters. You can see that they have their HP, attack, defense, and underlings. The way underlings is essentially just the ship's HP. When you have a person equipped, the ship's health goes up. Victory conditions, it just shows what's displayed at the beginning. Just lets you look at the map, and this lets us start the battle. For the tutorial, we don't have to actually win any fights. So what we're going to do is we're going to commence the battle right away. And our ally is going to be like, what are you doing? And we're just going, as you can see, we have 4 options. Move, where we can go anywhere. We have surrender, standby, and a detailed report. Detailed report just gives us what our ship has. But honestly, that one is the least important. We're just going to surrender here because we technically don't have to win the tutorial. So the fastest way is you just surrender and you go into the next cutscene.
We're in trouble. They're starting to board us. Oh, they're here.
So I'm just going to turbo through the cutscenes, make things faster for me and you. And because they're not really important, since you can't really do anything in the cutscenes. So here we have another text box. We know to hold R1 and triangle. This tutorial is also very long, so we're just gonna say no. We understand how to fight. So we have 5 different commands here. We have fight, retreat, potch, rush, and auto. So fight is your basic command, you know, it's just like, okay, we'll start the fight. When a command has an arrow next to it, that means that it's like a flow chart. It connects to the next menu. Retreat, it just lets you basically run away from a fight. We're gonna use that a lot because, well, I'll explain later. But just know that you don't have a guarantee to run from battles. Next, we have the potch command. This is, I'm pretty sure it's unique to the Suikoden series as a whole. I don't know any other JRPGs that have this command. But essentially what it is, it lets you spend your money to run away from an encounter. It guarantees you the run. So you use potch and it'll say, oh, you paid off X amount of money. Normal in other Suikoden games, you can actually determine how much money you're going to spend based on the encounter. In this game, you cannot do that. Also, this game has a weird little, I don't know if it's a bug or something, but it has the probability where instead of you paying off your enemy, they actually pay you off. So it'll say negative 16 poch was paid or something like that. Next we have the rush command. This command is not used in the tutorial because we actually don't have access to it for a while. And then the auto command does this. It'll trigger the fight and it'll choose just your basic attacks. But that's actually slower than what we want to do. So this fight you can't win. So we're gonna go fight and we're gonna defend. But first I'm gonna talk about these other commands. So attack, basic, just pick who you want to fight. Defend, defends for the turn. Rune is the way Suikoden uses magic. Our main character doesn't have magic, so I can't show you this off right now. Then we have items, where it lets you use an item. And then we have combos. Combos are combo attacks or unite attacks. And what they are is one or more character joins together to do an attack that does a fairly good amount of damage. We will not be seeing these used very often or at all. So we're gonna start, we're gonna defend with the main character, and then here are runes. You have magic. As you can see, we can equip 3 different runes, one on our head, one on our right hand, and one on our left hand. If you see the bottom, you can see our characters have 4 numbers. Right now they have 1 followed by 3 zeros. The top number is how many spells you currently have, and the bottom is how much you can hold. So far, because we're in the beginning of the game, we obviously can only have 1, and we can only have 1 level 1 magic. But to make this fight go faster, we just defend because you can't win this fight, and there's nothing to do about that. So you saw there that our friend protected our protagonist. In this game, your characters have a chance of protecting attacks for specific characters. I forget the exact percentage,
Commander,
but that's just about it. It's only when your characters are low on HP.
Slash like that. For a captain, you lack a sense of awareness. Watch yourself. You hear me?
yes, sir. I'll be more careful, sir.
So we talked about, I talked about how the different types of battles. You had the war battles, which was the battle with the ships, the basic battles, which you just saw, and now we're going to talk about duels. Duels are also unique to Suikoden games, where it's also another rock, paper, scissors type deal on what to do. And it's just a one-on-one fight. They don't really do anything, they're just kind of there for the plot. In this game, we actually only have, I think it's a total of 3 that are mandatory in this specific route. So again, you saw I was holding, well, you didn't see me holding R1, but I was holding R1 and holding the triangle button, and that's what lets us skip all the text. So this is a duel. We have to fight, but we don't have to win.
Alright, I'll go easy at first. Are you ready for me?
So you see he has a text box here. He says, "Are you ready for me?" The way duels work is that they actually determine what your opponent is going to do. So here we have the commands. We have attack, guard, and special. Just like rock, paper, scissors. Attacks beat guards, guards beat specials, and specials beat attacks. So you can actually, if you, depending on what the person says, you can kind of determine what they're going to do. He said, "Are you ready for me?" And I'm going to guard, and he's going to do an attack.
My next move will settle this once and for all.
So he said his next move is going to settle this, which means he's going to do a special. And because we're not trying to win, we're actually trying to die faster. Unfortunately, because he didn't attack first, we're not going to lose in one hit. But if he did a special or a guard, we were guaranteed to die on the first attack. So you see here that it says normal and a full power. Normal is just a regular hit. Full power, we actually do more damage, but if we mess up, we take more damage. So we're just gonna do full power. I don't think it matters too much because we've already taken one hit. But we lose, and we want to lose because again, it doesn't really matter. So there we hold the R1 triangle for text mashing, and it goes forward. It's a lot better for your hands because you don't have to actually mash like in other games. But yeah, I'm actually gonna explain a little bit of stuff. So here we have our character stats. We have HP, MP, level, attack, defense, experience, and then we have our stats. Strength, skill, magic, evasion, physical defense, magic defense, speed, and luck. So strength is your basic stat. Strength, you know, the higher your strength is, the more damage you do. Your skill is what lets you do critical hits, and I believe also landing attacks. Magic is for increasing your magical damage. Evasion, pretty straightforward. It lets you dodge fast. Lets you dodge more. Physical defense, you know, how much you take on physical attacks. Magic defense, how much you take on magic attacks. Speed, how fast you go, so you can go first or last depending on how fast you are. And luck, luck is a kind of like a stat that I think what it does is the higher your luck is, the more damage you will do with your criticals. That's about it. Here is something different than other JRPGs. Here we see weapon level and weapon power. In other games, you buy new weapons and it does more damage. But the way in Suikoden works, the way weapons work is that you level up your weapons, and each level increases your stack increases your weapon's power exponentially. So here our weapon level is only 1, so we only have 12 power. There are 16 weapon levels. We will only be getting a character's weapon to level 7 or 9 depending on who it is, and very rarely. And then our equipment. At the top you see the head, right, and left. Those are the runes. And then underneath we have the head, body, hands, feet, and other, which are just your basic equipment and accessories. Be careful when you are holding the R1 and triangle to mash text. You cannot hold them down infinitely because holding triangle will make your character walk. As you can see, he is walking, which is very, very slow. But if you do hold the R1 button, your character will sprint. Regular and sprint. So we want to hold that R1 as much as possible. So when the text finishes, we will be going up the stairs and talk to this man first. Our friend Kenneth. You must talk to Kenneth first, otherwise the plot will not progress. It will take you into a short little cutscene here. Right, you hold R1 and triangle to master the text. Then you will hold R1, you will continue to hold R1 and you will talk to Tal. You can actually talk to Jewel as well and it will continue the plot. But we're going to talk to this man over here, Tal, because he is closer, so technically we're running a shorter distance. And again, similar to what we've done before with the text, we hold R1 and triangle. And it will take us to this cutscene. Again, I will be turboing through the cutscenes just to make things faster for everybody. And I will explain some things during cutscenes. So I'm not really going to explain the plot because that's not the point of this video. This video will simply be teaching you how to speedrun this game. Alright, I'm going to be going slow, so it might not look like a speedrun, but when you do everything fast and all at once, it will look like a speedrun. So I never really talked about the category of this game. The category of this game is called Suikoden IV New Game 108% or 108 stars. And some of you might be asking, what does that mean, 108 stars? If you've never played a Suikoden game, every Suikoden game has 108 stars of destiny, hence the name 108 stars. About only a handful of them are mandatory to complete the game. When I say mandatory, they are like forced upon you through the story. And in this route, what we do is we actually collect all the characters, and because when you collect all the characters, you actually change the ending of the game. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold forward on my thumbstick as I run, and we're going to go into this hall over here, the Hall of Knights. And we're just going to keep running to the next plot point, right about here. To enter in a room, you must click the X button. You cannot just stand there and expect to get through.
In other words, your long days of training are now over.
So here we have more story exposition.
It was 7 years ago, on the seas of our enemy nation, Kuluk. 4 of our knight ships were
Nothing we can really do about it. We just kind of sit and watch during the cutscene. I've never timed how long each cutscene is, and I feel like I should because then I can take a bathroom break and stuff. That is the one thing I do like about this run, is that because we watch cutscenes, we do have a fair amount of breaks. You know, where you can stand up, walk around, have a sip of water, all that stuff.
You must all strive to become knights even greater than Troy. Do you understand? Such a humiliating experience must not be repeated. I have trained you with this intention in mind.
But this whole beginning part is pretty straightforward.
The fate of Gaian
You
is in
just
your hands.
go through, trigger each plot point.
That is all. Congratulations, graduates!
Starting tomorrow, your duty will be patrolling the neighboring waters. In other words, guard duty. Do your best, and do not let your guard down. Also, your official equipment is still in production. We will contact you when it is complete.
So that's the next plot point. And then we gotta go to the next point. We don't, because this is the beginning of the game, obviously our hands are gonna be held and we don't have much freedom to do what we please. So this part is the most boring part of the run. So we're gonna leave here, and we're going to go to do what's called, the game called it the kindling ritual, but it doesn't really matter what the game calls it. What we're gonna do is do what we're told. So we're gonna run down here, down these steps. We're gonna go through that door. And now it's nighttime. So we're actually going to run to the end of the docks here. Here we can see the different type of stores. This is an armor shop. The item shop. And this is the rune shop, or magic shop, you know. They're not too important at the moment. The item shop will never get used. We will use the rune shop quite often, but the rest not so much. And we're gonna run to the end of the docks and trigger this little plot point.
Young Master Snow has arrived.
Again, just trying to speed it up because obviously, yes, it's important, but it really doesn't do anything for us because we're just trying to learn how to run this game.
Snow Fingerhut, first son of Vincent, lord of the village of Razril. This year, I shall conduct the kindling. Well, shall we go together? All you have to do is follow my lead. I feel a little awkward being the center of attention. Would you like to join me? You don't have to be so humble. It's okay. Come on.
So here we have our next little thing. So we're carrying this torch, and you notice how that guy, he lit that person's torch. So we have to light all these people's torches. Holding R1, although it does make you faster, it causes a lot of like hiccups in the character steps. So what you want to do is you need to talk to each person, and as you can see, it's a little finicky. You do have to hit either a lot of times, or you have to make sure you're right in front of them. If you're like this, or like this, slightly at an angle, or like slightly the wrong way, like right here, it looks like I'm talking to that guy, and I'm surprised it actually works, because sometimes it doesn't. Or if what you want to do, you can actually go into first person mode here, and you can use the arrow on the minimap to see who you're talking to. You don't have to actually face that person, so I can like go straight and then to the right, and then boom, I'm still talking to the lady, and I would trigger her thing, trigger the torch lighting. But then we can, after we're done, we can just keep going straight.
And now, to celebrate the initiation of these magnificent new knights.
Wow, it's so beautiful.
So in the beginning, we do get a lot of exposition,
I wish that days like this could just go on forever.
and it's nothing we can do about it, right? We just gotta sit there and we gotta suffer.
Forgive me. A knight should not speak from his heart so freely. Please, forget everything that I just said. Well then, what do you want to do now? Do you feel like staying and taking a look around?
To trigger the next progression point, we have to talk to 4 knights. Normally you would think, you know, any 4 knights, but we could talk to these. Talking to these people does not work. You must, and talking to this lady, the commander and the vice commander, also does not work. We must talk to specifically our 4 friends: Paula, Kenneth, Jewel, and Tal. So the way I do it is I run up and I do it like a circle, you know. You go talk to 1, 2, 3, and 4. Normally though, Jewel is around here when I'm talking to her, so it makes it a little easier to go in a circle. And then we have 2 ways to leave. We have this one to our left and the one to our right. If we go down the left path, we have a chance to run into different fights, and we don't want to get into fights because that's slow. As well as that map is actually longer than the one on the right. So when we go in our circle, it'll look something like this. Talk to her here, talk to him, and then we just leave. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And that's all you have to do to progress the actual plot of this game. And then the same place where we got here is the place that we leave. So you see this blue orb here? This is a save point. You go and you can save the game. Normally in the speedrun, you don't save because it wastes time. And it's not really needed because when you die in this game, normally in JRPGs, when you get a game over, it'll put you either at your last save point or at the title screen, or it'll put you in a really bad situation. But in this game, when your party wipes and you get a game over, what actually happens is instead of you getting put in a really bad situation, you can actually choose to either give up or continue. If you click the continue, essentially what you do is it restarts you from the beginning of that fight that you died on. So we don't really get upset when we die. Here, you gotta say, yeah, it's been a long day. So when the text pops up, you hit down an X. And it triggers the next point of progression. So when we wake up, we see we're in our room. We have a bed where we can sleep. We have a save point, and we have this chest. We want to make sure we collect this chest. It gives us a healing item and this water orb. The water orb is definitely going to be very useful later on, and I will explain why in just a moment. But we're going to leave, grab the chest, and we leave. And we leave once more. Here, to continue the plot, you actually have to leave the hall right over here. And it triggers this cutscene.
Good morning. Tal and the others said they were going to head over to the training hall. Shall we head over there too?
So Snow, as you heard, Snow even said, go to the training hall. So there we're gonna go to the training hall and we're gonna pick our party members who are gonna help us for the tutorial and even past the tutorial actually for a good chunk. So here we have our 4 friends. We talk to Tal here, and then they say, oh, are you here to join us for the training? And you say yes, and you get to pick which party members you want. So here we have Tal, Paula, Kenneth, and Jewel. Each one of them carries a different rune. They carry earth, wind, lightning, and water. There's one rune that they are missing, which is the fire rune. Each rune has its own different element. You have the earth rune, which is support magic. Sorry, each rune has its own type of magic. Yes, that's what I mean. As well as, yes, element. But that's not really too important. So the earth rune consists of mainly support type magic, which is what Tal starts with. Paula starts with the wind rune, which has a weird coverage of spells. One spell puts the enemy to sleep, one spell can heal your allies, one spell hurts all of your opponents, and one spell, I believe, it has a chance to one-hit KO an enemy. Kenneth carries the lightning rune, which is considered probably the strongest rune because it does massive amounts of single target damage. And then Jewel carries the water rune, which mainly is a support type spell similar to Earth, but what the water focuses on is healing, while the earth rune consists of mainly just buffing your characters in certain ways. So what we're gonna actually do is we're gonna take Paula and Kenneth. Well, yes, Jewel sounds like a better option, you know, because she has a water rune. She is not very important. We pick these specific characters because Kenneth comes with the lightning rune, which does the most amount of damage, and we take Paula simply because she has a good magic growth, which will be very useful later on in the game. At the moment, it's not very important. She's kind of the weakest link right now, and I'll explain what I mean by magic growth later on. So here we have to fight 2 battles to continue. And the way to take these out fastest is by defending with every character and utilizing our lightning rune. See, it does 100 damage to all enemies. Normally, after you use a spell, you do not replenish your spell, like your spells, unless you either heal by going to sleep or using a restorative item. Unlike other JRPGs, using magic restorative items are very hard to come across. But luckily for us, at this point in the game, during this tutorial fights, our spells are replenished automatically. Here we have the XP screen. Pretty straightforward. So it tells us, yo, we should change our party members, but we're gonna say no. We're gonna keep using the same characters because we want them to get as much XP as possible. Here we're gonna defend. We're gonna do the same strategy we had last time because our spells are gonna replenish after this fight. And it's funny too because unless both of those knights attack Kenneth, we can't lose this fight. But here we level up. We are the way Suikoden works is that rather than you need X amount of XP to level up, it's once you hit 1,000 experience, you level up. So here we're level 2. As you saw, our main character Laszlo was low on HP, but now he is full. When you level up, only your health will replenish. Unfortunately, your magic will not. So here, they're like, oh, that's enough training. So we're like, yeah, we're good, but we're not going to keep fighting. So because we leveled up, I'm going to explain to you about stat growths. So when we showed earlier, our character had very low stats, but here the stats have increased. Although they're not as high as you would think, they've still gone up. When a character levels, they have two ways of increasing, by a large number or a small number. And that is determined by how much of that stat you currently have. So when you level up, your stats will grow randomly. You can't determine it. You can't guess how much it's going to be. It's just going to be random. But that doesn't mean that your stats are always going to be different. When you hit max level, there is a cap. When you hit max level, you will always have the same stats as you would any playthrough. But this game, or in the way Suikoden works, is that level up, it'll go up between two different numbers. And unfortunately, it sucks because we need to have certain stats to do certain things. So you see right now, our magic stat, it's at 6. When we hit a certain level, or when we hit a certain magic stat, so knowing that our stats grow randomly, we need different stats to do different things, right? And the way magic works is that it's entirely based on what your magic stat is. So the higher your magic stat, the more MP you'll have, the more level 1, 2, 3, and level 4 spells you will obtain. And that kind of sucks because, especially in the beginning of the game, the first boss fight can either take a long time or a short time depending on our main character's magic stat. If we're lucky, we will have 2 magic, and then we can cast 2 spells. But otherwise, we are stuck with a level 1, where we only get 1 magic spell. We're kind of like, there's nothing we can do about it, we just kind of have to deal with it. So, with the plot progression, we have finally picked our party, and in the cutscene we get to do guard duty, or patrol duty. So we're gonna go do that right now, and we have to talk to that man over there to choose what mission we can do. So we're gonna say yes, let's go. So here he's like, oh, you're gonna do it, right? You're gonna do a mission. So we have 2 options. We have defeat 3 creatures or deliver a document. We're gonna take the sea creatures because not only is it faster, well, one, we need to do some fights anyways, and it is also faster. Although the deliver document will give us, which would yield us more money, which we would love. The issue is it takes a long time to do. So here we get, this is how the world map moves. If you tap L1, it changes the view of the camera. I personally prefer this one because I can control the camera. In these ones, you have a fixed camera. So here you can see our ship, we can turn, and we can go straight. In this game, everything is an ocean. And it's unfortunate that it's an ocean, but it is very slow, but it's just something we deal with. But luckily, we can hold similar to how we hold R1 when we're running around. If you hold R1, your ship will move faster. Note that before the fight, I was actually not holding R1, so that's why the ship was moving so slow. So we have different types of enemies we can encounter in this tutorial. We can fight either fishes or the seaweed. And the seaweed are a lot stronger than the fishes, and they give us more experience. This fight is not that dangerous, but it can be a little annoying. So to make this specific fight go faster is we're actually going to use our combo attack because it does a lot of damage, and we're going to make our other two characters attack. We don't want to blow our spells because obviously we don't have an unlimited amount, and we need to save them for kind of a harder fight. Hopefully we will get to see it. So here we don't get to level up. To be safe, I'm going to heal my character. So what I did was, if you click the square button, it takes you to the menu, items, and heal. You don't necessarily have to do that, it's just safer. Here you can see the different menu options. A lot of them are useless. We'll only really use these top three, which are items, runes, and equipment. But yeah, now this is me holding R1. As you can see, we are moving incredibly fast. Or, not incredibly, but much faster. So we are actually not going to go too far off. That island you see in the distance is Middleport. It's not really important to us. And here we got one of the really great experience fights. The 3 seaweed fights. This fight is very dangerous, especially with our low HP values. But to make this fight go fast, what we're going to do is defend, 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 rune with Kenneth, and use this spell. This is one other reason why we take Kenneth, because he's really helpful and strong for us early game. So there it just hits everybody for 100 damage, and we gained 2 levels actually, sorry, and we're already level 4, and that's 2 fights. To actually continue the plot, we have to hit level 5, and if we don't get good fights, it could take us more than 3 fights, but hopefully it'll only take us 3. I do not think this is going to give us enough experience, but we will see. Here, because we're a high enough level, we can just auto, and we are most likely to kill this in 1 turn. And we did level up, which is very good. Sometimes you don't hit it, sometimes you do. Snow here says, let's go home. If you're not level 5, you want to hit the not yet, but if you are level 5, you can hit the yes. And here he says, good. And again, we go through the text. Although we did hit level 5, we actually do not possess enough money to do what we want to do. So we're actually gonna go back and we're gonna get into another fight. So these are the muddy fish enemies that we want to encounter, and we're simply going to do an auto because these fights are easy. Alright, so we actually got enough money. So now we can go do the thing we were supposed to do. So normally, you should hopefully have like 700 money. Or in this game it's called Potch. And what we're gonna do is we're actually just gonna run to the stores. If you remember where the rune shop is, that's where we are heading. We are going to make a quick purchase, which will help us for the first boss fight that we're about to fight. I say it's a boss fight, it's more like a mini boss, but it is a plot point that we have to do. So the reason why I chose not to sell an item is because, one, I don't think the items we have are even remotely enough to do anything. Like selling maybe all of our healing items, but that would be very risky. And as you can see here in the rune shop, you actually can't sell anything. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to purchase a fire rune, which costs 500. And we're going to equip it to our main character, which also costs 200. So because we were at 600, we actually couldn't afford to do this. So we're going to give it to our main character because, well, why not? It will be useful because for the next boss fight, which I will show you, we will use runes. You'll notice that in this run, we actually abused the fact that we have runes because runes are very powerful. So here we're going to look at the main character stats simply to check if we have 2 magic or not, and unfortunately we don't. I think we are 1 magic short. I think you need to hit 15 magic to have 2 fire spells, and unfortunately we did not. So that is quite unfortunate. But you notice that we've leveled up, but Kenneth still doesn't have his spell. So what we're going to do is we have to go make a pit stop to heal. And if we don't do this, we are very likely to lose on the first mini boss because he is very strong. So sometimes you can get the 2 spells before this boss, sometimes you don't. And it's just unfortunate that we didn't. So we go back into our room and we're gonna sleep. It is mandatory to sleep because if your character does have 2 spells, you want to replenish those 2 spells either way, whether Kenneth has his spell or not, because these spells are very important for this first boss. So, although I'm giving a general guideline of what to do, you do have to understand and think on the fly of, okay, if this doesn't happen the way it's supposed to go, what am I supposed to do, right? So, naturally, after you talk to the shop, you're supposed to talk to this guy. Then you're supposed to talk to this guy to trigger this. And he will say, go to middle port. And he'll teach you that if you click circle, it will open the world map. As you can see, middle port is right there. Just like in the real world, a boat can only land on an island based on the port. And all ports are on the front of an island. So obviously we can't enter unless we come from the front. Here's where it kind of gets annoying. I'll show you later that if you get too close to an island, what'll happen is you'll actually bounce off the island and it'll knock your like ship way off and you'll be way off course. But we hit the level and obviously fights take a while. So fights take a while and you don't want to fight, right? Because we're speedrunning, we don't fight encounters. So we're actually going to use the retreat command. You retreat every fight that you are able to. Note that you're not always going to escape first try, but it's just something you gotta have to learn to deal with. So traveling is very slow in this game. There is a lot of downtime when you travel. Later on, we will get things to speed up traveling, or get like a fast travel. As you saw there, you saw my ship was going way off course. Right? That is because I reached too close to this island, even though, as you can see, I'm not close at all. That's just some of the invisible barriers. So here we have to land, and we're going to do our mission. But we're going to talk to this dude over here. You can talk to the knight, and he'll say, listen to this guy's request. And he'll tell you about a creature that you have to fight. It's faster to talk to the knight instead of the actual fisherman because you don't have to. And we're gonna sail. This boss has a random chance to be found. Sometimes you'll get him first try, sometimes you'll get him 100th try. But after a certain point, you kind of just, you'll be like, okay, I'm not gonna attempt that anymore, and you'll reset. Funny thing though, is that although it says that unfortunately we could not escape from that fight, so that fisherman said, oh yeah, you'll find him around here. You actually don't have to be near this island. You can actually find him anywhere in this ocean, and whether you find him or not is completely random. So if this takes longer than I would like, I'm actually going to speed up the video itself. But I'm gonna play on regular speed, but I'll speed up the video until I find this boss. You'll know you find the boss because the camera angle for the fights will actually be slightly different. And we'll see, what is this? There it is. So I was actually going to speed it up, but I don't have to now. So here's the fight. This boss fight is very annoying, and I'm going to show you how to beat him quick. What we're going to do is we're going to use the fire spell we just got with our main character, attack with Snow. His name is Snow. We're going to attack with Paula, and we're going to use Kenneth's lightning rune. So here, we actually, in this fight, we actually want one character to die that is not our main character. So we don't want the main character to die because we'd like him to have experience. We want him to hit level 7 before we do the next actual boss. So we're not going to heal anybody except for the main character. Before, you saw me use a unite attack or a combo attack. Here we're actually going to use it again because it's going to do a lot more damage than for a damage that Snow did earlier. So we're going to use that, and then the rest of our party we're going to do attack and attack because we don't have any more damaging spells. The wind rune only puts enemies to sleep, and unfortunately it's not useful enough because Paula will go after the boss but before the rest of the party, and then the boss will wake up and it doesn't change anything. So I actually want Snow to die, simply because of we're gonna lose Snow eventually, and with Snow dead, so we're gonna lose Snow, but we're gonna keep the other two members, and if Snow dies, the other characters will get more XP. Because his XP will be given to the others. But unfortunately, he probably might not die. So the reason why we like 2 fire spells is because this boss only has 200 HP, and it'll make things a lot faster if he were to, you just get an extra spell, because if you see here, it says it does about 100 to an enemy, right? So we have 200 right here, not actually 200 though. And then this spell says it does 100 to all. It actually, so you see it adds up. You do 100, 100, 100, that's 300. But what's more like, you'll do like 80, 80, which is 160, and then the last one will kill.
Let's go.
So this is a pretty basic fight. Depending on how lucky you are or aren't, it'll take a while. Because our main character got hit, we're actually going to heal him. Because, of course, we want him to stay alive.
Let's go.
And there we go, we have it. And we did heal. Unfortunate, it's kind of a waste of time. So nobody died. We're level 6, which means later we're going to have to actually do something. We're going to have to do some leveling up. Fun fact is, if you actually go back to the middle port, the city where we got the request, we could actually collect 2,000 poch. But that wastes time, so we're actually not going to get it. And that boss gave us 500, so we're going to enter the port. And we're going to get told that we have a special mission for us, the main character and his best friend, which is Snow. So before we go, what we're going to do is we're actually going to unequip Snow of all of his armor. In this run, we don't buy a lot of armor. But we're gonna abuse the characters that we get, and we're gonna take a decent amount of their stuff. So we're gonna take his stuff. We're gonna leave these two because we will be getting them to join us again later on. And we're gonna run over here. So here, the two Paula and Kenneth are gonna leave us because this mission is specifically for Snow and myself. So this is all just holding R1 in triangle, mash right through this text. So we're gonna go heal because we want our spells to be up for the next boss, the first boss we're gonna fight. So here we have 16 magic, and we can see our character has 2 fire spells, which is very, very useful. So we're gonna sleep. Heals our magic. But that's about it. So we're gonna, this is a part I actually really like. I think it's really cool little thing they added into this game. We're gonna leave here,
Oh, I'm gonna go
and
check
it
the ship.
triggers
I'll
this
be up later on,
cutscene.
okay? See ya.
We're gonna leave this place. Or we're gonna enter. We're gonna leave. And we see Snow over there. Normally you would think you'd have to go up to him and talk to him, but if you just enter back in, he automatically joins you. So that saves a whole bunch of time because you don't have to walk out as far. You can just turn back in. I mean, you don't have to walk out at all. Right? So we're gonna go back to where we were. And we're gonna talk to this guy right here, Ramada. This is the guy we're doing a mission for. You say, let's go. So if you see here, we have to go all the way there, which is pretty far. Luckily for us, we don't actually go that far because of plot. Just be careful though when you are sailing, because if you sail too far to the left there, you'll see our mission isn't over yet, and we get sent to in a wrong direction. So you do have to be careful for that. And you essentially just go straight. You hold the R1. So earlier you noticed that we weren't level 7 yet, and we want to hit level 7. So we're actually going to fight random encounters here to get to level 7. Then we're going to hit the auto. And we didn't hit level 7 yet. So we actually have a decent amount of time before we get to where we need to go. So hopefully we get 2 encounters. If you think you're getting too close to the plot point where you can't get into fights anymore, I would say just turn around and start fighting encounters because you need to hit level 7. I have tried doing the fight at level 6 and it is damn near impossible. So here I'm a little scared because we're getting close to the point, and this should definitely give us enough XP since we are literally only missing 75. And we hit the level up. So now we're good to go. The R2 button is what actually makes this minimap increase and decrease and disappear in size. So you just go far enough and it'll trigger this.
There's a good breeze too, so we should be fine.
This is where we learn Snow's true nature in the game. Again, it's not important to us,
Actually, I managed to catch a glimpse of Mr. Ramada's
but it's important in the plot.
There were containers of room cannon ammunition, really big ones at that. I've never seen anything like them. They had to be at least 5 to 10 times larger than the ones we use. Can you imagine? If you got hit by something like that, even a single shot could sink a galleon. Do you think we're gonna be okay?
So earlier was the last chance we had to unequip Snow of his armor or anything. It's not really necessary to unequip, but it is nice. I have definitely forgotten times to unequip it. So here we're on the ship. We can't do anything, but to progress the plot, we're actually going to go talk to Snow. So Snow's to our right. We're going to hold up right and R1. And it will take us right there. And we hit X right when we reach him.
Huh? That ship, 6 masts. That's not a merchant ship. Get aboard to the starboard side!
So here, I actually like to mash the X button, not too fast, but nice and like, kind of like, just like, like not too fast, but not too slow, because we have a text box that we will hit, where we have to pick an option, and we want option 1. So it's just fastest if you just keep hitting the X button, so that when you get there, you don't have to think or anything, it'll just be good and it'll progress the plot.
Return to port! Go full speed! Quickly! But, Captain, if we do that, the Orok trade ship will sink for certain. Please, just steer us to port. I can't take this anymore! Are you saying we're going to flee and abandon our mission? Yes, sir.
See?
Port to starboard. We'll close in on
And then
you.
it triggers.
What do you say? I'm the captain here. You must follow my orders.
You might have saw it for a brief second.
What do you think you're doing? It's useless. The ship is going to sink.
So here, as you saw, we could kind of learn what Snow, how he's not very good. But here we have our first real war battle, or naval battle. So at the beginning of every war battle, there's like some kind of text box, and they sometimes give you like advice on what to do. But here we have to actually win. So here, I'm gonna show you how to do this menu. Really nice and precise. I'm actually gonna make a save state, and I'm gonna show you. So ship setup. just like that. So it's not like the hardest thing, as slow as you might seem or might look or anything. It's just there is input delay, which is unfortunate. So I'm gonna do it. I'll show you again. What we're gonna do is ship setup, cannons 2, or knight 2 and knight 3. We don't have to worry about anything else, and we're gonna commence the fight. So what determines on how fast you go is actually based on your current underlings. So because we have very little, we're gonna be last. So here we're gonna move in this specific order, and what it does is it kind of manipulates the opponent in to act the way we want them to act. So we're gonna go up 2, we're gonna go right to once, and we're gonna wait, and we're gonna face right. So you see those yellow lines here? Those yellow lines, what they determine is how far our shooting range is. If we go too far up, we will die. And if we go too far to the right, then we will dive to the other ship. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do up 2, right 1, and we're just gonna wait right here. So just like the rock, paper, scissors, earth beats lightning, so we're just gonna spam X, and we don't have to worry about that at all. If we went too far up, that other ship would have attacked us and we would have lost. And because we have so little HP that the enemy is going twice before us, we pretty much don't have to do anything and we kill them. So here, you can actually get really unlucky. I've seen it maybe once or twice. So I'm going to, you know what? Before I continue, I'm actually going to save just in case, because sometimes I've seen where the enemy will board us, and if the enemy boards us while we have no fighters, we instantly lose. So we're going to fire, and we got to make sure we hit the knight number 3. We got to hit down first, because when you deflect the attack, you actually deal extra damage. So here you saw he literally came up to us. Hopefully we win. We might not, and we did. So luckily for us, nothing bad happened. And that's pretty much the war battle. It's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward. Not complicated at all. It's simply just kill both ships by utilizing their weaknesses, by abusing their weaknesses.
What's going on? Sir, the enemy ship is upon us and its crew is boarding us. What? A dozen or so enemy combatants confirmed. We are currently
Oh, sorry, a cutscene. I will speed it up.
My apologies, Master Brando. Looks like I was the only one who got to have fun.
So here we are in a boss. This is our first boss fight. This boss fight, we have 2 enemies, the assassin and Brando. We want to kill Brando first because he has the ability to cast a fire spell, which can destroy us. He will nuke us, or he can heal himself. So we're gonna use all of our spells on him. And this guy, luckily enough, he comes with a wind spell, and we're gonna pray that the enemy falls asleep. I'm actually gonna save before this fight. Save state. And then we're gonna put everyone to sleep. So he did go first. Okay, so fortunately he didn't attack Laszlo. Unfortunate that he the assassin did not go to sleep. But by doing this, I believe Brando will go first. So here you can see this is a bad scenario. Unfortunately, our main character also likes to miss his attacks a lot. So we did crit. I don't think we can actually... Yes. So our main character is too weak. But instead of waiting, so see, you can just click continue or give up. But I'm just gonna load the save data that I made. Oh, I accidentally just saved over it. Never mind. I still don't 100% know the controls on an emulator because I don't run this on an emulator. I play on a PlayStation on the actual console itself because it's better. But I'll save. So we're gonna try that again. That is slightly better, because the assassin is annoying to deal with. There we go, so Brando is dead, and we don't have to worry about that. All we have to do is kill the assassin. We actually want the assassin to attack the knight, because it'll make... when we finish this fight, our MC will actually get more experience. But whether he wants to attack the knight or not is up to him. And we can't really deal with that. He has 3 HP. The assassin might die. Yep, he did. So here we level up. Unfortunately, we didn't get the kill, but it's not really... not like it's like a bad thing. That's just, obviously, it's optimal if the dude dies. If he doesn't, then it's whatever.
So you're the pirate Brando. You've really got guts picking a fight with the knights, but you'll regret that decision in the
So
end.
here we have more exposition. I really like, actually, this fight, or this whole, like, area with Brando, with this boss, because it really shows us, okay, so we had the tutorial, but now here's the tutorial where it's not a tutorial anymore, because you saw we had a war battle where we had to win. We had a actual boss fight we had to win. Now we have to do a duel that we have to win. And I'm going to show you how duels work. It'll show you a lot better than the tutorial does.
Incredible.
The issue with duels is that duels will go faster based on our character's weapon level and stat, and like because it's based on your actual attack, right? So obviously the stronger our weapon is, the stronger or the more damage we do during a duel. But unfortunately, because we can't do that, it's just like, oh well. We just kind of like get stuck with doing little damage. So this duel actually can take a while because we don't have high stats and we don't have a good weapon.
One blow from me. You cannot defeat me.
So again, this is a whole rock paper scissors. We're gonna attack first turn. It's obviously gonna win because he's guarding. I know that because I actually have a document, like a kind of like a chart. I have a chart that says these are the voice lines he says when he does this, and this is how we win. When we do an attack, we never want to full power an attack because it does little to no damage. I'll show you how much damage it does with a full power. That was a full power attack.
Don't you realize that?
Here is a normal one. right? It's not much more. So here he says, I'll kill you. We're gonna guard, and we're gonna full power this one. We'll see how much more damage this does. Which is a lot. Special, I believe specials do slightly more damage than guards, but I'm not 100% sure. So again, if you look at the dialogue, what he says, it kind of determines what he's going to do. So his more vicious dialogue, you can clearly tell, that he's going to use a special, which means we're going to guard his attack. When he's like a little like daunting, or when he's taunting us, he's gonna defend, so we gotta use an attack. So child's play. Like obviously he's gonna guard because he's taunting us. And sometimes you just get 600 attacks in a row like this, and there's nothing we can do about it. And here he's all like, in this one he's more of a neutral speech, so he's gonna do a attack and special beats attack. So that's essentially how we know how to beat duels. So sometimes this duel can take a while, because he'll do this a lot. He'll guard, and we have the regular attack. It's just unfortunate. It's just something we kind of deal with. There's not really any way to make this duel go any faster. We just kind of gotta like, okay, we just kind of gotta deal with it. So we're getting close to the end of the duel, but again, I really like this part because it really shows like the different mechanics of the game and how it really works. You can actually special when he specials. You'll both attack each other. And it just looks cooler. I don't know if that's any faster or anything, it's just, I don't know, it's just something that looks really cool.
Finish me. Now. Please.
Is that a rune? That pattern.
So here we have more exposition, everything. Again, cutscenes, we can't really do anything about them. We just deal with them. The only way we could actually do them is
What the?
if we, I don't know, just chose to play New Game Plus, but in my opinion, New Game Plus isn't a fun category. Some people might say otherwise, because it's literally just, oh, you go to fight the boss, you beat the boss in one turn, and next boss, one turn. In my opinion, it's not for me. But like, everyone has their own things, right? That's the thing about, if you really like this game, you can learn any category of it. And the Suikoden community could always use more people. So here we are. Next thing, obviously, we gotta leave the room.
Hey there. Feeling better? If you're up for it, have a walk into town. I have a few things I need to pick up.
So the thing with this tutorial of this game is that it's very boring, and like I said before, it really holds your hand. You can't really do any exploration or do anything cool. So we're just stuck with what the game tells us to do. I can't really change anything about it.
I can't believe you two. Didn't you see what happened back there? The commander's wounds were hardly small. Well, shouldn't the ex-captain with a seriously injured arm be getting some rest right now? Let's go. Come on, we should get going too. Yeah, alright. Oh, don't worry about me. I'll be more careful next time. You'll see. Anyway, I need to get some medicine. You'll come with me, right?
So he said he needs Mega Medicine, and we know where that is. It's medicine, so you gotta buy it at the item shop. Fortunately, we don't have to actually spend any money, because we like our money. We're very greedy. When we get to the end of the game, we're gonna take all the money we have, and we're gonna spend it all. So we know that this one's the armor shop. That's not the right one. So we just keep walking, and it actually teleports us right in front of the shop, which is pretty nice. So we just talk to this guy, and that's it. That's the next. That's it. That's all there really is. So Snow's really rich and everything, and he just bought Mega Medicine, and he's kind of using it like a tribute. Ugh, I keep talking about the plot. I'm not supposed to be talking about the plot. This is just a tutorial and explaining things as we get there. So this game doesn't have anything like too advanced in the speedrun. Because this is on a PS2, like this is a PS2 game, doing manipulations is like, I think it's impossible. Maybe there's one game where you could, but it doesn't matter. But here we're gonna go back to where we live. And we get told to do some stuff. So we get medicine, and Snow's nice enough to give us Mega Medicine. Mega Medicine is very good because it heals for a lot of health. So we have to talk to this person in the kitchen so we can give the commander his food. And the commander just happens to live or sleep right above us. We're gonna go in there, go up these stairs, and it triggers this. We're gonna hit mash X again here because we have another text box to pick from.
What's this? From Snow?
See?
Mine. I suppose he is trying to redeem his
And we
honor.
don't have to deal with that text box.
I'm sorry. I'm sure you don't want to be doing these menial chores forever.
Commander, please.
Never mind. We can discuss that later. For now, I just need to eat.
Yes, sir.
You were there, so I'm sure you saw. But that pirate was...
Ouch.
Commander!
I'm sorry. Let me be alone for a while.
The commander!
No, that's in order.
Okay, let's go. Commander, if there's anything you need, please send for me right away. The medicine is on the table.
Right.
So we're nearing the end of the tutorial, which is nice. So they said we're done with what we were doing, and we're actually gonna go and we're gonna progress the story of this game while do what we're supposed to do. The game doesn't really tell you what to do at a lot of times. We just kind of walk around and you know from playing the game of how to progress the plot, but the game doesn't tell you how to progress the plot. Like casually you would not know to do what I'm about to do. So after we leave, we see our friends standing out front. We actually have to talk to all four of them. The best way to do it is just tap X because they don't really have text boxes, since you kind of they talk, then you gotta pick an option. It doesn't matter what option you pick, we just mash X. Right, then we're gonna leave actually this place. We don't talk to Snow because Snow's our friend, but he's kind of like pissed at us. When you pay attention to the plot, you'll understand. When you do a run, you'll understand because you can't skip cutscenes. And you're gonna leave the area and you're gonna talk to this knight. If you don't talk to those people, you can't talk. You can talk to him, but it doesn't progress. So here we have our next naval battle. Sometimes in naval battles, or usually naval battles, you see a character will say some stuff. Usually it just gives you like tips and advice on what to do for the fights. They'll be like, oh, this person has like a fire element. Oh, be careful. So in the rock paper scissors, so we know our enemy has a fire and a wind. With rock paper scissors, we actually can't beat the fire because the wind, because we don't have fire, except for our main character. But unfortunately, if you put him here, you can't do anything because your ship doesn't have a captain. Every ship must have a captain. So we're gonna put our main character there, and we're gonna use Jewel on our cannon because both enemies have fire. So Jewel is the most understandable. As you can see, we have Snow, who is useless, and we're actually gonna commence the fight. So if you want a faster look at that, it'll be like this, or better one, and then you commence the fight. Here we're gonna move up as much as possible, and we're gonna wait. The enemy can't reach us, which is great. And because Snow's kind of useless, we're not gonna use this ship at all. We're just gonna fire. So you saw that when we shot, another portrait appeared. Every time you have kind of like an important character who attacks, you'll see their character portrait. We don't actually want to see that because that is the wind rune. We'd rather see no portrait because then that's how we know we're shooting against the fire. So see how they didn't show it? We know it's fire, and we deal the extra damage. And here they don't have any special portrait, and boom. So it's a simple 2 turns, not really much, and we just win. It's pretty easy, it's pretty straightforward. These early fights, all these fights are actually quite easy. R1 triangle tech smashing. A lot of these boat fights are easy. The only actual hard one would probably be the one at the very end of the game, because it's the first and only time we run into an enemy who's has more than 2 rune cannons. Right? They have 4, just like we eventually will have. You'll see. But we have a way to fight it pretty straightforward. So more plot stuff is happening. Nothing we can control. So here we're gonna go back to the commander's room. You know, that's where we first delivered the medicine and the food. But we're gonna go see him and talk to him because, obviously because he's the commander, and he's sick, and he's gonna give us pretty much a performance review on how we did in that fight. But not just for us, but also for Snow, because you know, me and Snow and I are captains. So, more plot. Here, we're gonna do another one of those weird story triggers where the game doesn't really tell you what to do. You'll never know what to do. I didn't even know this. Like, I barely remember. Like how. Like, I don't remember my first playthrough of this game. Like, how did I know how to do these things? Because here it's literally you have to sleep. That's what progresses the plot here. So there we have a box. We have like a message box, or a dialogue box. Sorry. So just hold R1 triangle. It's a good habit to always hold R1, and then during random parts, always hold the triangle. It's definitely something you get used to, but it's good practice is pretty much always hold R1. The only time you don't hold R1 is for fights. And just like typical, we go to the kitchen, we grab the food, and we're gonna go and we're gonna deliver the medicine and the food to the commander. Actually, I don't think it's medicine, I think it's just food.
As those pirates the other day,
So
were hired by someone. They weren't acting
remember,
alone.
habit, always hold
They were
R1.
from neighboring seas. So, Commander,
Be selective with your triangle holding, because again, if you hold triangle,
There's no question that someone
even if you're holding R1, the triangle will override it,
to use this time to rest, Commander.
and you'll be walking instead of running, which is an annoying thing. It's really shitty.
Please, Commander, you realize that I'm only concerned for your health. What's going on? What? An attack? How could this be? Report didn't say anything about this.
More plot. We're actually nearing the end of the tutorial, which is pretty good. This, again, I'm only teaching you about the tutorial.
chance to finally discover our enemy's true identity.
Not gonna,
Set that time. Commander, what am I
but
doing?
next time,
Prepare our forces. They must not be allowed to land. Go.
Yes, sir. Come on.
we're gonna
attack.
still kind of tutorial-ish after this part, but it's definitely more like I'm gonna split this up into separate parts. This part's
Yes, sir.
mainly the tutorial, and
I
it
have a
really
favor to ask.
hoping to
Do not allow anyone to enter
it
the
explains
hall for
the
time being.
basics of the game.
You understand?
If it doesn't,
What? But why?
you can always
It's
mention in the
important.
comments, and I'll make a video.
understand,
I'll make it
sir.
a separate video
I will
if you
not
really
allow
want, where I
anyone
can
to
go through
enter the
each
hall.
individual like or a separate video where I'll go through each individual mechanic of the game into one video.
But Commander,
If you want me to
I
explain that, if you
You have your
if I
orders.
didn't explain it very well, or you want some clarification on something, or if you don't want it as a separate video, you can let me know and I'll add it on to the next video. But for now, I didn't realize I wasn't going in turbo speed. But yeah,
perfect timing. I want you to
just
proceed
let me
down here
know
together.
if you like this series and everything. Let me know as well. I will,
Knights of
whether
Ryan,
people like it or
brace
not, I'm still
yourselves
gonna
for
finish
battle.
the series,
We mustn't allow these dastardly
because
pirates to come ashore. Use whatever means
this
available.
game, although this is like
One last thing. I have
known
orders from
as
the
one of the
commander.
worst
Until further
Suikoden
notice, you are
games,
not to come near the hall for any reason. That is his
it
strict
it holds a
order.
special
Now,
spot in my heart because it's the first one I've played, and I personally do enjoy this game. And yeah, I like speedrunning this game, and it's really fun. There are parts where I'm not a fan, but I still like it as a whole. So text box, obviously, I hold R1 and triangle. So here we get Katarina. She's a good mage, for now. And we're actually going to steal all her equipment. Similar to what we did with Snow. We're going to go square, equipment, Katarina, unequip all. We're going to hit up twice. And those are going to be useful, not for us specifically, not our character at least, but for the other characters. I'm going to make a save right here. Again, because I'm playing on an emulator, making save states, I would always recommend practicing on an emulator because save states are good. When you make a mistake, they really help you figure out where you went wrong, or if you want to test multiple things. It's really good in my opinion. Again, not everyone thinks the same though. So here we're actually going to fight a gauntlet of fights. It's going to be, I say a gauntlet, it's not really that many, it's only 3 fights. Now the first fight is pretty straightforward. What we're going to do is we're going to use our main character's fire level 1 and Katarina's level 2 lightning. You can see she has 2 different spells, 2 different elements, lightning and water. Now, I know I didn't explain this earlier, but when you have multiple elements equipped or multiple runes, all the spells share one magic pool. So if I use a level 2 lightning spell, I can't use a level 1 lightning spell. A level 1 water spell because I won't have any. So if you have multiple runes on a character, you gotta make sure and think, okay, which spells are the best at which times. So we're gonna use a level 2 lightning on this guy, and then we're gonna attack these enemies here. A cool part is though, sometimes your characters will attack at the same time as you just saw with the magic. Here we can just auto. And that's it. So here's the next fight. So we no longer have our character's spells, so we kind of being not necessarily more or less conservative. Here, it's actually funny that our Kenneth is 2 magics. Kenneth kind of has a bad magic growth, and because he has 2 here, is very beneficial for us because that is very important for us when we get, especially for this part, but when we get to later parts, hopefully his magic stat will continue to be very good. If not, it will be okay. But here what we're going to do is we're going to use Katarina's level 1 lightning spell because it'll hit all the enemies. And then we're going to do the same thing with Kenneth. Oh, he got crit, which is fine. He took a nice hit, but he should be okay considering all the enemies have attacked. And boom, it'll kill all the enemies with 2 spells.
There's no end to them.
So, similar to what we just did in the previous fight, we're going to do the same thing. Sometimes Kenneth doesn't have enough spells. Like sometimes he'll have bad magic and it won't work out in the way you want. So if that happens, actually I'll show you how to deal with that. Save. So save. So I'm going to show you the 2 different ways to do it. The first way, if Kenneth doesn't have enough magic, this is what you'll do. So if Kenneth doesn't have enough magic, which will take 1 extra turn. Right? It takes an extra turn and it's slower. But if Kenneth does have enough magic, which he does, we can do it this way, same way we did it last turn, or the last fight. Right? Where Kenneth will cast a spell, and Katarina will cast a spell. And rather than taking 2 turns, it'll be faster because it's only 1 turn. And there you go. So,
There's still many more enemies out at sea.
obviously text, hold R1 and triangle. Oh, here we have, these are the last bit of cutscenes actually we have in the tutorial. After this, we're actually going to get into the next part for sure. We'll definitely get into more in-depth and cooler fights. We'll get into the harder boss fights. I don't know how many parts it's going to take me to finish this series, but I'm going to be taking it kind of slow because I don't want to ruin anything. I don't want to rush too much.
What was that just now?
Everyone listen to me. Do not enter the hall. Our priority must be assisting the injured. Now go.
But I might spread out the parts very far apart because just the way things are working out for me currently at the moment. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the hall. If you paid attention to the plot, we aren't supposed to, but we're going to break the rules. And we're going to go inside the hall. We're going to go not to our room, but we're going to go towards the commander's room. And we're actually going to go up one more level. Short little cutscene here. And a long cutscene here. So a fun fact about the cutscenes in this game is normally games or JRPGs, they have really long cutscenes. Like the cutscenes are like continuous. They'll be like, I don't know how many minutes exactly, but they'll be continuous and it'll be very, very long. The way cutscenes work in this game is that they're actually short clips. So rather than having like one like 30-minute cutscenes, it'll be like 6 5-minute cutscenes or something like that.
Vice Commander.
What is it?
Well, we just received a report
Like
that
each one of these is its own
Commander must not be disturbed. Yes, ma'am.
little cutscene.
Commander. Commander. Did you do something to him? What is it? Commander Glenn is dead. He collapsed right in front of me, and then he vanished. What? It was him. He did it to the commander.
So here we have what I call the Rune of Punishment segment. It's literally just a hallway where you hold R1 and you hold up and run. This is the most annoying part for me because we get text boxes and you need to hold triangle, but if you hold it slightly too long, you'll start walking. So you kind of get a gist of how much just by running the game, but sometimes you'll hold it extra long and you'll start walking. At the end of every Rune of Punishment segment, you get into a fight. These fights, you can't do any. You can do whatever you want. They could last forever, but it doesn't matter because it will only progress once you attack the enemy. So the fastest way to do it is consistently just hit auto, because you don't have to do anything. And then you'll have this short little cutscene, and
We'll be together again. I promise you.
pretty much we're done the tutorial right now. The tutorial is done. I'm just gonna mash X here because we have a text box coming up. But I'm just gonna keep going until we get to a point where I can not rely on a save state, but rely on an actual save in the game.
We have settled on your punishment.
Because
You will be exiled from the kingdom. You will be cast out to sea, and you are never
it's
to
just the
return.
personal preference to me.
You will depart tomorrow. Until then, you are confined to your quarters. I know you would not try to escape, but I must lock this room until tomorrow morning.
So
It's nothing personal.
the tutorial has been
Bring
completed.
what you are to be beheaded.
Pretty straightforward, pretty simple tutorial. It's not complex in any way.
Listen, I believe you, all right?
Please, you must be careful. When he's ready,
So
escort him to the harbor.
You'll notice that we had 4 friends at the beginning, and we only see 2 here. Those 2 people we pick as party members in the beginning of the game are going to join us here.
If fortune favors you,
We get
1,000 will make it
outcasted
by a ship.
or we get exiled
Glenn
from
trusted you.
our
You understand why you
homeland,
did this. Was that trust misplaced? What was it?
and so the party members you
Never
pick
known anyone
there
to do like this.
will join you when you get
Fair sail.
exiled. I keep saying outcasted. Outcasted, exiled, it's like the same thing. But yeah, that's generally how it works. So we picked those 2 because, again, Kenneth has a lightning rune, which is very good, and Paula has very good magic growth, which is going to be very useful
Come on.
when
let's
we
try heading
get
towards land.
to the first
We brought oars too.
dungeon.
Right here.
Yes, the first dungeon.
What is it?
Something made a sound in there. Could it be Mr. Chipu?
So this is pretty much definitely done after this little bit. So I'm gonna save here. And yeah. Alright, I want to say thanks to everyone for watching. If you enjoyed the video or if you enjoyed this series, let me know. If you want me to go over some things and clarify more things, let me know as well. But other than that, I hope everyone here has a great day or night, depending whenever you're watching this video. Goodbye.